Welcome to the podcast, everybody. The Polarized Podcast, the podcast about polarizing movies, the movies that audiences and critics disagree on, according to Rotten Tomatoes. I am James, your host. Welcome in. The movie today is 8 Mile. If you missed the first 7, it's no problem. They throw you right in, and you don't need to worry about it. This is Eminem Feach. From 2002, it has a 75% certified fresh by the critics. Certified fresh tomato. We got a stinky tomato. We got a rotten tomato. 'Tis the namesake after all. There's got to be some rotten ones out there. It's a 54% from the audience. They do not care for it. Let's find out how we feel today on this podcast. I'm going to bring in my first guy. He's my first guy over here. He's coming. He is the best co-host I have ever had in my life. Oh, and let me tell you, I've had just him, but God damn it, is he the best you could ever compare anything to. If you had something to compare him to, then he would still be great. Hey, Brandini, how you doing?
I'm an uncomparable man, like that.
Uh-huh. He's an incomparable man.
No man. Yeah. So that's me. Hey, thanks, James. Fucking great to be here.
He's an American Brandon.
Yeah. Well, I'm a man about town, and
Brandon, Manhattan.
America's one of those towns. You got to see it.
America's one of those towns. Detroit's one of those places. And podcasts are one of those things that you can do with your friends after you watch your movie separately.
Let's get you into a rap battle.
We come together. Is that my rap is just explaining very obvious things?
Well, I mean, that fits the rapping in this movie, does it not? hey.
Just describing what they see.
Yeah, and this is what's in front of me. Okay. All right. We're working on it. Anyways, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
I am very excited. It is my first time seeing it. It is our running theme of kind of music-centric movies. I've noticed that we've kind of accidentally fallen upon.
Stumbled,
which hasn't been like continuous. It's kind of been kind of here and there. We did The Doors. We did Walk Hard. Now we're going back to serious.
Yeah.
We shifted.
Yeah. A major shift.
And now we're shifting back down.
It's into Mercury's in retrograde, but with biopics of musicians.
Yeah, it's like the eclipse, except the moon is music biopics.
Yeah, right.
And the sun is our
wearing glasses. That's why I got mine on.
Oh my God, you're wearing your sunglasses. I just noticed. Look at those things.
Look at those things. You know what? This is a cool movie, and I wanted to be a cool guy for it. So here I am.
There's a lot of cool people in this movie. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. There's
like temperature wise.
Yeah, that too. It does look pretty chilly. There's a lot of jackets.
A lot of big jackets.
A lot of big jackets. Big jackets.
Just fucking huge ass jackets.
Well, I mean, what's your favorite jacket? Should we break down? We got to get our guests in, I think, for this conversation.
Wait, but I'm just personally, I'm for a behind a trash can or whatever jacket. I mean, that's a cool jacket. One of those behind the trash can ones. I really was into it.
I like whether or not you have your mom's spaghetti on your shirt to be able to go through a costume change. Yeah, because he had the potential at that time to convince everyone he was a different guy.
I know, right?
Like he choked, and then he could have gone to his bag, thrown something else on, maybe a little fake mustache and some glasses. And
that's why the dogs in the alleyway were barking at him, because he was a totally different guy.
Yeah, there's those dogs that thought he was a different guy. You should have taken the hat off in that situation.
He definitely should have, instead of just continuing to blast the Blues Brothers. I don't know what that was about in that scene.
If anyone is still with us on this reference, we appreciate your
we actually do. And if you are on that reference, you better rate, review, and you little devil.
You little devil. I think we're being a couple little devils today, if I do say so myself. Sure. This is the little devil ep that you have stumbled upon as well. Somehow we're doing music biopics with little devils.
Yep,
that's our thing.
Hey, we didn't sign up for this, but God damn it, are we going to see it to the end? Right?
I don't even know what that is, but yes, I think we can feel that as what we'll know when it's over. The long and winding road that leads me to little devil music biopics. This is 8 Mile, the movie with Eminem, the musician. How about that? And this is Polarized Pod with your host James and your co-host Brandon. And now let's bring in our special guest.
This is already off the rails, but let's do it.
I'm just reestablishing the rules here.
I love it. I'm here for it.
And I'm leaving my introduction to the special guest hanging. He is returning for yet another ep. The last one I can think is Death to Smoochie, which was a classic ep. Please go back and visit. Let's bring him in.
2 years ago?
Huh?
2 years ago, right?
Has it been that long? My God.
We're getting old.
If that's true, then wow. Welcome back, Alex Higgins. Thanks for joining us yet again.
Yes.
Yahoo.
Yes.
Man, that whole intro, it was a long time. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank God you're not lying. I mean, can we just establish there's no lying allowed? And
just started talking about the movie we're going to talk about already.
Yeah, it was a lot of build up to you because you're just you're such a we almost forgot about you, I think.
You guys are having a good time. I appreciate it.
Let's get into Michael Shannon. That's what we were all about.
Yeah, that's where we want to start. No, we were getting into jackets.
You're not my real fucking dad, Greg.
No, Rabbit. He's got a check coming in.
He got hit by a car.
He got hit by a car.
Damn, did I want to see that come to fruition in some way?
I really did not understand why it was so important for his mom to put on airs. It's he didn't know that she was poor.
Right. Right. It's so weird.
This bitch is gonna get evicted. I can't. That's too much for me.
Right, absolutely, because it's not like he's got anything really going on with him.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And I get it was just really a reason for him to get upset and for B Rabbit to, I don't know, defend his mom. And there's a lot of his family is what it is, and that's a part of his story. And I didn't get a lot of it though. To your point, I didn't.
There was so much in that movie that didn't need to be in the movie,
which is surprising because it's not like this movie was long.
It wasn't. I feel like it could have been cut a little shorter.
then it's a TV show. Just one episode.
How long is it?
It's an hour 45, and
that's what I'm saying.
I think it just needed more meaningful content. It needed more.
Done that shit in 85 minutes.
Needed more stuff that mattered and things that would come to some sort of end in fruition in a way that was meaningful. But Michael Shannon leaves at some point. We don't get to see that check. Man, I wanted to see that check actually come in for him.
Yeah, I did want to see what he was going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he has the check, though,
booze and cigarettes. Come on, we know
that's the assumption.
It's
nothing's going to change.
They were going to use that check to get out of the trailer park and go live in the suburb, right?
One of my favorite. I don't even know what I was going to say just now. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
One of your favorite jackets. What was your favorite jacket?
Oh, I was actually going to say my first. My first, one of the first notes I wrote was Michael Shannon is way too good for this movie. I thought that was so funny they had Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is I would argue he's in the top 10 actors living.
Yeah.
He's an incredible fucking actor.
Completely agree. And Yeah, I mean, my introduction to him, even though he was in these movies much earlier, and maybe I'd seen him in the background, but my first big wow moment with him was Revolutionary Road, and that was the same year as Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. And I remember they were both nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and I was like, if Michael Shannon wins this, like, I'd be okay with it because he's so good in that movie. He's
in
fucking,
Revolutionary Road.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing in that movie and everything else he's in, of course. But I agree. Seeing him act opposite Kim Basinger gives you whiplash, I think, with the acting decisions made, because he comes across so natural and she is so
Real.
put on everything, unfortunately.
Sure.
Which I mean, we just right off the bat, like that accent, man, like it doesn't make any contextual sense within.
It's not.
At least
I disagree.
Or like at least
like
if there was like a
that,
mention as to why, like I don't know, whatever.
I disagree. I feel like I just assumed that she was from the South.
Yeah.
Right. And she's just living there in the trailer park in Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there doesn't need to be like a contextual plot dialogue line that's attached to it. However, I do think her ability to even have that accent is a little spotty, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon's first movie was Groundhog's Day. That's interesting.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, I think
he was fucking Groundhog's Day.
He was dating.
He's a big Chicago guy.
I thought he was like dating the love interest, but I'm not sure. I forget. And then we also watched Vanilla Sky recently, and he is in that movie as well. And he is just a tall drink of water, that Michael Shannon. You see him, you see him standing next to Tom Cruise. The man is a tree. He's a redwood.
He's definitely one of my favorite.
Serious character actors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right. Because like I love by and large, like if in my mind, if you're more of like, if you would ever consider yourself a film buff, character actors is where it's at, because like main stars of movies are pretty vanilla. Sure, they're serviceable for being, getting you through the plot and doing a lot of cool stuff. But I mean, so much of the interest that, I'm sure we all have in movies is these weirdo characters that are, in the background a little bit. And Michael Shannon's definitely one of those. And Revolutionary Road, my God, I love that movie. And that was the first time for me as well, seeing like, who is this guy? Who is Michael Shannon? That's what
I keep thinking of his, I don't know why this memory pops in my head, but the scene in The Shape of Water where he explains, he explains why you can't wash your hands twice when you piss. I don't know why that was in that movie, but it's like
there's a lot of stuff in that movie that you're like, why is this in this movie? It really starts with her masturbating in a tub, and you're like, do I need to see this?
Yeah.
From jump, you're like, whoa, this is a weird interior into this character that I don't think I needed in order for me to understand her better.
Yeah.
But Guillermo del Toro is a weird dude. I think.
I fucking loved Shape of Water. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're being honest. Thank you.
I don't know why you would lie about anything like that.
You're right.
God.
I just want to sound like I'm cultured, really.
Another detail about Michael Shannon. I was watching those like actors going through their film catalog on like fucking Vanity Fair or some shit, or like whatever those YouTube videos.
Yeah, Vanity Fair.
And he was talking about a movie that I actually forget the title of, and I hadn't heard of before he started talking about it. But he had such reverence for his process and going through making this movie, and describing it in that interview. He started actually weeping visibly in the interview because he was so taken with the like emotional thrust of just like describing the plot and the character of that movie.
Sure.
And that's like that just affirms so much with me. I'm like, that's my fucking guy right there. Like that guy is the fucking best, man. And it made me love him that much more.
I think it was like 10 years ago. His band they played like this random fucking dive bar that my band used to play, and I was so excited. And then I found out I was going to be out of town when it happened. I was really bummed out that I couldn't see it. But yeah, I thought that was so funny that he was just like playing this like 20 like 30-person room, as like this ultra fucking famous star.
Ultra famous in a weird sense though, right? Because I think his ultra famousness comes from the superhero stuff, from playing Zod, which funny enough to what James was talking about in the same Variety YouTube video.
Yeah, he kind of
ask him about Zod. He's like, I don't give a fuck about
essentially, yeah.
Where did you learn how to fight? On a farm?
Like he's just so checked out,
well, especially with
like literally he brings in his like probably the state of mind he was in being Zod into the interview, which is incredibly checked out.
Even though, yeah, even like in that same
paycheck.
token, he's very invested in some other movie, but then he talks about Man of Steel, which is one thing, and then he especially gets to that point when he talks about the Flash, because he's like, at first they talked to me, I'm like, isn't Zod dead? Why do you want me to do this? And then they convinced me because they asked me and I said, there's no way I'm going to do it unless it's okay with Zack Snyder. So I called Zack Snyder and he said it was fine. So I said, I guess I'll do it. And like that was like the extent of, and then previously before he was like, it was a beautiful experience and I enjoyed every minute of it. And this one, it was just like all clinical and just like, it's a paycheck. I don't know. They wanted me.
It's a paycheck. Yeah.
It's cool to, as an actor, I'm sure, to have that variety of roles, and maybe one that you can kind of throw away.
I'm sure that the money doesn't hurt, Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because like I also can imagine him as an actor being like, I would much rather be recognized by the public for some of my more intense and serious roles. And the fact that everybody just keeps calling me fucking Zod, I'm getting really pissed and upset about this.
Like, I feel like a lot of people don't realize like there's like a lot of movies where like, unless they're like big fucking blockbuster movies, like there's movies where the actors don't really make that much fucking money. Even
right, that's true too, yeah. For sure.
Even like big actors, like I remember hearing I think it was like some Wes Anderson movie or something. Like
Wes Anderson, yeah, it came up on TikTok recently. Yep.
Oh, was it that? Yeah, and like someone was like, I made like $5,000.
Edward Norton, I think, was talking about it. I think.
Yeah,
was talking about like, no, wow. You just get paid to be there, and that is the extent of it.
It's a Wes Anderson.
Everything about just me being there is paid for, but profit or huge gains outside of that, it's not a thing.
It's so funny.
You're like, blessed. You're blessed to be in a Wes Anderson movie, and so you just do it.
It's so funny, like even at that level of filmmaking, like Wes Anderson, he's obviously like quote unquote indie or whatever the fuck, but his movies, are still like they're theatrical releases. It's just so funny that at that level, that level, people are still getting like the homie hookup. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't afford to pay you like more than X amount. Like that's cool, dude.
It's unfortunate.
Game must be a big part, not only doing him a favor or whatever, but also maintaining your relevancy. I'm sure a few of those guys I bet are like actual good buddies and all that, but I'm sure some of them like, I haven't done a movie in a while, and it'd be nice to like maintain my relevancy a bit, and they're doing each other a solid, which is kind of nice.
Yeah,
and for
sure.
Maybe they get some residuals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but nonetheless, if anything, it's an indictment on the industry, because Wes Anderson's movies are their ceiling of profitability for Wes Anderson movie in 2024 is only X amount of dollars. So you're not getting paid well beyond that to star in it. It is being made as cheaply as a movie that size can be made, which is
you haven't heard that he's doing Flash versus Aquaman?
I mean, if that's the thing to bring up, is that so much of big budget movies are things. I also feel like they're cresting now at this point. I'm getting a sense.
Oh, you bet Aquaman's cresting.
Oh, he's cresting so fucking hard right now.
Cresting sounds like some weird masturbation thing.
It does, or like a Mormon thing, like a Mormon, like
exactly
soaking. Yeah.
I can't jerk off, so I like fuck my pillow or something.
I just rub against hard surfaces.
That's the funniest shit ever. Like God loopholes.
Yeah, it's
right, because it's something teenagers would fucking do, or not necessarily teenagers, but like college students would do, because it's like the rules are going against human nature.
Because they're just
and
so fucking horny.
And then you just think God's up there, just kind of like Santa Claus, just like, almost, just a tip, okay, just a tip, okay, I guess we're all right, going to heaven, okay, premarital sex, nope, you're all right.
There's just these
agreement going on.
Right, there's these rules. In order for you to get put on the naughty list, it has to strictly be penetration in this weird sense of the term, as opposed to just like the idea of it happening. It's so silly.
I feel like I would watch a documentary about soaking.
Yeah, I think I would too. I definitely would.
I don't know.
I'm sure there's a Vice like half-hour doc out there.
If HBO made it, it would be like 10 parts.
Yeah. And you're like, I got it in the first hour.
It's like, holy shit, dude. That's like my biggest fucking pet peeve these days, is like people just making these fucking absurdly long fucking documentary series that just do not need to be that long.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. But that's in response to not getting something else made. So you're taking advantage of the system, right? And then it just ends up making a product that isn't, like, you're taking advantage of the system rather than doing good art. Like good art would be something succinct, something that you can make a profit on and continue to make, but it is more profitable to make this long drawn out thing, because that's how studio executives and producers are thinking about things. They're like, well, no, it has to be a 10-part series.
It's really funny. I was like interviewing at this like startup podcast company a couple weeks ago, and I'm like starting to get to the point where like I actually like I'm like I'll interview with people and I'm like, oh fuck, I know more than you. That's weird, and this was definitely one of those.
Sure.
And there was like this point of the interview where the person I was talking to was like, yeah, so we want it to be like, oh yeah, they said it's like, oh, we're working on the first episode, but it's not done yet because we want it to be 25 minutes. And I was like, why do you want it to be 25 minutes? And they're like, oh, it just sounds like a good number. And I was just like, what, dude?
What?
I was like,
I mean, if anything, podcasts have proven that people are willing to listen to fucking 2 hours, 3 hours of shit.
Oh no, right? this was she was saying it wasn't that long yet. They needed it to be 25 minutes long. Whoa. It wasn't that long yet.
Jesus Christ.
And with like narrative, it's not like a 3-person talking thing, it's like a highly produced, like whatever. But
yeah, not like our intro, Brandon.
Okay.
But I just thought that was so funny. I was like, that people are. I'm like, you're really like crippling yourself creatively if you're just like, I need this to be exactly, in this range, like 25 to 27 minutes or whatever. It's like, why? What the fuck?
At the same time, I mean, we've talked about this recently in these musician biopics about how creating restrictions for yourself allow you to operate creatively within these boundaries that ends up creating really great art. Because if you just have, an example would be like a Coldplay, for example, because they suck now because they have all the money in the world. So then they just make all of these really generic, boring, but very highly produced and like very great sounding things, but they don't have the restrictions on themselves that most bands have just innately when they start, is like, we only have this much time in the studio, so we need to rip it. And as bands get bigger and whatnot, it just, there's sometimes restrictions are good.
The thing I'll give this movie credit for, even comparing it to some of the other music kind of movies out there, is that it does have those limitations, and maybe to its detriment as well. But after watching some of those movies and seeing Walk Hard, of course, where it's like, we need to get through his entire life in this movie. It was kind of nice to just have this blurb that's a key moment in this dude's life where he's about to try to make a name for himself and go off on his own. Maybe that part would be even more interesting, as seeing that element. You don't get to see that in this movie, but I do appreciate that it is limited to just him losing and chickening out in a rap battle to winning a rap battle is the big arc. And obviously there's much deeper things at play, but it's not, you know, him as a baby all the way up to him being a star and then going through some issues and then falling out of stardom and coming back. It's really I don't know how long this probably takes place over a couple months.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I never thought about that. The just having this like key moment of his life be the whole movie is, yeah, that was a great choice. I definitely didn't need to see baby Eminem. There's no point really. Um but yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I like the ellipsis at the end as well, where you get the idea that there are certain things that you can't maybe change about the maybe the city that they live in that they're trying to either improve or change, or the people around them that they're closest with that they're also trying to do the same and kind of coming to acceptance and into the things that you can control, which is your own life. However, yeah, I do think, yeah, it could have been a lot deeper along some of those elements, and I think those limitations maybe hinder it a bit as well. But him as, I mean, what do you guys think of Eminem to begin with as a musician? You know, even Alex and I hadn't seen this movie, but I'm seen it referenced and fucking Scary Movie 3 and then other things, and of course knew him as a musician. But how about you, Alex? What do you think of Eminem? Just even pre 8 Mile and or apart from movie stardom.
I mean, as like a white kid in like
Suburban.
2000, 2001,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like, you're gonna listen to Eminem unless you're a fucking dork or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was just gigantic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean he was just like a fucking superstar. I think one of the first like physical albums I ever owned was probably one of the first Eminem records. Um and like I feel like I went through like a sort of, I don't even know what you call it, phase, I guess, because like I liked him a lot, and then for some reason I got into this phase where I was like, oh, rap music sucks for like a year or two for some reason, and then I just didn't like him. And then I grew older, and I mean, I don't know, like the first couple of records fucking slap, and
Yeah.
then his
Mhm.
last couple of records are dog shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
kind of my main thing about him. He's also
Yeah.
sort of just become irrelevant and like seems to be really trying to stay relevant. And I, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it's working out very well.
It's hard though to say that it's not working out because at the same time he seems to get big streams when he does these new tracks. He gets a little bit of, kind of conversations in the trades about like, oh, he's talking about this person or he's going after X person, and
His collaborations are a lot, and that's came
collaborations too. Yeah.
after,
Like,
I'd say, like Recovery was around that time, because I remember being like relatively like, oh, I think Relapse is pretty fun. I don't know. Encore was kind of fun
uh,
too. It's like got some frayed
You
edges,
check
like
in. Yeah.
it's rough, but I was having fun with it. And then Recovery and the whole vibe of that album and all the collabs really changed his sound per song that he was on. And I think that's, yeah, I definitely lost out on fandom of him and haven't really caught up with him past, yeah, Recovery on, I'd say.
well, I guess like uh, going back to when Brandon was saying, you think it is working out. Like that's, I guess that's not the measurement I was taking in my head. The measurement I was taking in my head is just like, I don't know. It's just if it's good art or not. Um,
Yeah. And
I feel like
An
it's
original.
hard, to, in his defense, like you said, it's really fucking hard. Especially like when you get older and you sort of run out of shit to talk about. Um, like, yeah, I feel like there's a reason why Andre 3000, instead of doing a rap album, came out with like the experimental jazz album, you know, because it just, I don't know, like I feel like in certain types of music, like punk or hip hop or whatever, like when you get to a certain age, it's just like, dude, just fucking stop.
Mhm.
Like, like, come on, man. Like the
Yeah.
only album that I can think of at the top of my head that is completely like an outlier is that fucking what's that? What's the group?
Tribe.
What is it? Tribe. Yeah.
Oh, did I guess it
Yeah.
right?
Tribe. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when
Tribe's
like
album is
Fife isn't around anymore, and that fucking album is
That
amazing, and it
album's
took
incredible.
forever for them to come back too. But
it's so that's why I think it's an outlier, because it's just like every part of that recipe, like with Fife being dead and like uh you know, it being so long after they've released anything, you would think like if someone was like, oh, do you think this is going to be a good album, I would say like absolutely not.
yeah,
But then it comes out and it's like fucking incredible.
it's like as
It's
good as their other
it,
stuff. It's
yeah,
insane. It has no right
I think
to.
it's better. It's better,
Yeah,
honestly.
better. Yeah, I would. Yeah,
every
I
right
would say
to.
better.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I think the one thing that I don't like about Eminem, and it's not even really him as a person, it's more his fan base, is Eminem has sort of become like, um, and it's, you know, I'm saying this as someone who's like almost 35 years old, but like he's like the old heads, like
Oh yeah,
God or something. You know what I mean? It's always like,
I do
yeah,
know what you mean. Yeah,
they don't make, you know, the rappers aren't like back in the day when it was like Eminem and you know, all these guys or whatever. And it's just like, that is like the laziest I fucking hate that shit so
I
much.
hate it so
Where
much.
it's the laziest shit. Like, oh, they don't make music like this anymore. It's like,
Mhm.
well,
So shitty.
maybe
Feels awful.
spend 10 minutes looking
Yeah,
for it.
straight
And
up.
you'll
straight
spend
up,
10
yeah.
minutes and you'll find good shit.
There's so
Yeah.
there's more music than ever, and
Exactly.
every moment of your life. There's more.
Just like with you know, I'll continue to say that Coldplay fucking blows, and just like how Coldplay blows, that's how I feel about Eminem too. Is that there is a immature like phase and perspective that has continued to be your staple that you always carry into the next thing because that's what you think people want. And to a degree, they do, because there's a lot of very immature or non complex fans that listen to Coldplay or listen to Eminem, where it made sense at the time, like why he was so big, because he was taking the piss out of shit. And 90s, early 2000s was all about being edgy and taking the piss out of stuff, never being too serious. But then also, too, he incorporated a different side of what hip hop could be, which is very much more like thought process, emotional stuff in a different way, as opposed to being very descriptive of your environment and talking so great in hip hop about what's going on at the time, but you're not evolving at all. You're just using a lot of what you've been doing into your new stuff. And I would just argue with you know, that it's definitely possible, because there's plenty of artists that do this, is but we're growing up, like you're growing up, we're growing up. I have interests and I have things that I'm, you know, thinking about considering now at a different age. And there's no reason why an artist couldn't represent that in lyrics as they get older as well. But the fact is that you just hold so much onto what made you popular, which it doesn't work for me. It's just this old hat. It's this very contrived. It just sucks, because I get that it makes you money, but it just has nothing interesting to say. And so much of Eminem stuff has been that for me, is eh, like, I don't, you're not saying anything interesting. You're really just trying to like capture more of what people liked about you 20 years ago. And that's wholly uninteresting to me, to watch somebody not be able to come to terms with their own reality and think that they can just continue to bank off of their past reality. That just sucks. I don't. any way you look at it. So like but also too, like my Eminem upbringing as well, is like I was always the guy that liked hip hop music through and through, and I was like, this guy is fine. Like this guy's okay. You know, I'm I can get on board with a new perspective for sure, but I am not going to. I've never been, and this is my opinion of a lot of Eminem fans, is he's such a great lyricist. He says things so quickly. He says things with, there's so many words in a stanza or in a, whatever. And that I couldn't give a fucking shit less if there's a lot of words in there. If you're saying nothing in with however many words it takes, like that, like then I don't care.
Well, that's the Anthony Kiedis approach.
Yes, and Anthony Kiedis is a great example of this, of doing the same thing where it's like, oh, people like reading the tea leaves wrong and going like, oh, the reason we're popular and we make money is because of words and music sounding like what it did 20, 30 years ago. No, people were interested in you because you encapsulated a feeling, encapsulated a sound of that time, and I'm going to ride and die with you because of that. But I'm growing up. I need you to fucking grow up and stop being this little bitch guy that just fucking thinks that he's so cool because he was popular then, or they were popular. Fuck you, Coldplay again.
Jeez.
I just like,
wow.
I would put Coldplay in a fucking body bag because it's,
oof,
wow.
It's the same shit that
he did.
Like, okay, I'm going to Coachella this year. I'm going to Coachella next week. This is, and I was just telling James about this. Now with TikTok, there's this whole fucking thing.
Careful, Brandon, of the slamming the fist. I can hear the.
Okay, sorry. There's this whole thing. There's this whole thing on TikTok now where it is people who they start the TikTok going, I've went to the last 3 Coachella, so I have figured it out. Let me tell you about how to do it right. And you're just like, wait a minute, you're not considering way more time that it's existed. You're just solely like, oh, I only want, I'm going to be an expert based on little information or little time period going on. And I'm going to just say, oh, these things are good. And one of those with new Eminem fans and new Coldplay fans or whatever is it's like, it sounds really good. It's really well produced. But at the end of it, it's like you don't have an experience, because if you did, then you would have a more complex understanding about how you're working through life and how a band and yourself can grow. And if that band's not doing that, just because the music sounds popular like it did 20 years ago, who gives a shit? Like you're not growing, you're not being interesting. You're just giving people what they want. And I get that Aldous Huxley said it right instead of Orwell, where it's like, let's just give people what they want. That's all that's how you get popularity. That's how you appease people, is to just give them what they want. But I'm such a firm believer of like, push people. If you care about somebody, like give them something interesting to chew on rather than just the same shit that they're always going to like. And yeah, overall, that's my opinion of Eminem, is like, yeah, it was recognizably good because of the fresh perspective back in the day, but he has just continued to just give the same shit over and over for decades now. And I just don't understand how you can be like, oh, I'm still going to hold him to high regard because he was good 20 years ago, even though he's made complete shit recently. I just don't get it.
I am not familiar enough with him to know like his entire catalog. I'd say the first phase, what drew me to him was the shock value and was the storytelling in the conceptual ideas behind his albums.
For sure.
And the little interstitial things that catered to the whole album listening experience as an edgy teenager hit at a perfect time. And then growing along with him, as you're saying, he grew and everything. And I'm sure there's, at this point, he's done so much, he's had to be repetitious with some of his stuff, but I would say that like that recovery portion was definitely a departure from his sound and his ideals and ways of writing music, as in terms of being more poppy and more collaborative. And his lifestyle, of course, and the concept behind that was very different than Relapse, which still was silly and druggy and about murder and all this other fucked up shit, which I kind of prefer. But it's a matter of whether you like those changes or not, I guess, because I don't. And Coldplay is another band that I don't know they're more recent changes, but even going through our Max Martin thing, we went through Max Martin as a producer, and even going back to Coldplay and hearing a little bit of what Max Martin did with them was cool to see them bring in a new sound and them being very purposeful and trying to do maybe something different, but also something mainstream. And I think both Eminem and Coldplay are very, from my knowledge, guilty of wanting to be mainstream, be relevant, when I think they're kind of way past their heyday, both of them. And this for Eminem is like his absolute heyday. I mean, this is like right before Encore, which I think where things start to dive. So he is like working, like he gets this, I think it's floated the script and the idea of making this movie, I think when he's doing Marshall Mathers, and then agrees to do it around Eminem show, I guess. But
yeah, he was taking meetings with Jimmy Iovine,
right?
Because Eminem wanted to be a movie star because that's how popular he was, and he's like, I can, because you get that Eminem's a very smart guy, a very savvy guy.
It's not that bad of an actor either.
He's a great performer. I mean, he's done a lot of you can, if you watch his music videos and everything, like he knows how to act in front of a camera. It gets a little one note, I guess, at certain points, but he carries the movie for a starring role like very well, and it gets you excited about him as an actor if he would ever wanted to do or take it more seriously. And he's done other cameos that are great as well. But I was very impressed, and I get why this movie was hot shit.
I mean, so much of that benefits from having I think it was like 3 months period of time leading up to the actual filming of this movie where the director worked on him being able to act and like really going through a lot of the movie and working with him to do it, which is an incredibly smart idea. And I mean, I've also heard from plenty of actual established actors that they would love for, there to be a month or 2 month period of time before shooting where you just get together as a cast, start, getting into the characters, kind of this more free expression situation where you can work out stuff before cameras actually start filming. And so glad this happened because I would agree by and large that this movie isn't, by Eminem at least, other people sure, but like Eminem at least is not poorly acted. I think Eminem does a pretty good job.
I enjoy his performance. He carries a lot, and I think he's all I wanted more of was to see more of him rapping well with music attached. There was a nice like build up to that, and to get him in the final rap battle with a beat rapping, I'm like, man, I wish almost like I had the whole movie of this. And of course he's doing, little kind of acapella stuff here and there, little battles in front of food trucks and whatnot with Exhibit. But I was just wanting a little bit more of him doing what he's best at as well. Although I was very impressed with his acting, and I think the weakest was probably Kim Basinger for me, unfortunately. And I think just I chalk it up to just being a little bit more melodramatic with some of her acting decisions. And that's where it just starts. Yeah, like it starts to tell you how dramatic things should be and how dramatic or how sad you should feel, rather than having it just kind of develop naturally. It seemed a little forced when she was on screen.
Yeah, there definitely seemed to be a little bit of that.
What did you
when
think of
Brandon
like his like actual performances and everything, like in rapping, like when he did get the chance to show off that side of himself? How did you enjoy that? Did you like
I
this,
thought that
like
like
some of those rap battle scenes, like in the parking garage and whatnot?
I thought that most of them were very uncomfortable,
Hmm.
very cringy.
Yeah.
Uh, like, which is funny because it's like I like rap battles. I think that's a very entertaining thing.
Hmm.
One of the things about the rap battles when there was music was it really seemed like no one was on beat,
You're right.
which is really fucking weird. Like
Yeah.
I don't
I felt that definitely with the acapella stuff, which is natural. You don't have like a common thing, but
yeah,
I
it's
know
just
what
like
you mean.
why does no one it's like they weren't rapping to the music that's playing, which
Sure.
is probably accurate,
Yeah.
Absolutely. In a
Um,
movie, totally.
Or they
Yeah.
didn't have like a monitor or
there's not
something to like
loud music.
to
Yeah.
feed the sound to them, because you get the crowd reacting and all that, and at least in those
yeah,
scenes. But I almost
yeah.
imagine, there's not a feed coming to them where they can hear it well enough, or
Do
maybe
we
it's
want to
80 yard.
Yeah.
do we want to just
get
do
into it.
notes?
Yeah. Let's get into
Yeah,
it.
do you? I mean, I guess since we've just been talking so big about Eminem and all these things, we don't have to go piece by piece, but definitely like we can go through this opening portion of him in town, broken up with his girlfriend, and
Gives
choking
her the car.
at this rap battle, and getting the shitty car, and meeting Michael Shannon. I'd say, yeah, if we have any notes kind of for this first portion.
I have written down arms getting tired practicing rapping.
Yeah. Right. Because he's doing this in the mirror
Yeah,
where he's
he's
like,
doing yeah.
it's a full body performance.
It really
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And then I just wrote the name Jimmy Rabbit because I think it's so funny. I don't know why it's Jimmy Wabbit.
It is
Sounds like a
funny.
Bugs
It's very
character.
childish and silly. And it's one of those things that I never really got over during the movie because there's some really
Same.
serious and gangster parts of this movie. And people continue to
Yeah.
just refer to him as B Rabbit or Rabbit in general. And you're like, man, this is
Yeah.
just not that cool.
That's where a lot of the
Just
parody
really
came from, at least in Scary Movie
Right.
3. I remember I forget exactly what they call him, but also Robot Chicken. There's a Robot Chicken sketch I remember where it's Bugs Bunny doing a rap battle with Daffy Duck, just because of the name.
that was one of the first things that I remember thinking about in the movie was like is that scene from one of the Scary Movies where
Mhm.
they talk about the difference
Uh-huh.
between a mouse and a rat, which is like,
Oh,
say what
yeah.
you want about the
How
Scary
can you wake
Movie,
up
but
dead?
No,
yeah,
let's say some stuff about Scary Movie because we're in particular talking about Scary Movie 3, which was a
Dirt
really
Nasty.
big movie in our
Yeah.
lives. I feel like in
Yeah.
particular,
Kevin
Yeah.
Hart.
the first two
Anthony
was
Anderson.
a little bit before us, but 3 really hit us at the right time.
Oh, I remember. I loved all three of like I
Yeah,
watched
sure.
all three of them coming out, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I remember I tried to rewatch the first Scary Movie like couple years ago, and holy shit, it is incredibly cringy and problematic.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's so bad. Like
Yeah.
everything is some kind of homophobic
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
transphobic, like everything. It's so
Everything.
funny. There's like a fucking homophobic joke like every 2 minutes. But
Right.
yeah, that like bit of like those guys was fucking funny. Like the and I couldn't stop thinking about their characters from Scary Movie 3, which obviously
Especially
isn't the
Very
movie's
early Kevin
fault.
Hart.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
yeah,
that scene when they're shooting the paintball gun,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he
yeah.
He pulls out the
Kevin Hart
roller.
brings out a roller and then just gets a guy with
starts
a roller.
like rolling paint on people driving by. And that's the shit where it's like, yeah, I'm watching the parody before the actual original thing, but it still hits, which goes to show how funny that that movie was, and it was coming from a funny place. I think the paintball thing is just such a great little colorful part of the world of this movie that is like inconsequential to any sort of plot or anything.
Oh,
But it
inconsequential.
also has like a nice tension to that scene too, where like they hear the
Sure.
cops come and the car breaks down. It's almost like a Tarantino sort of thing that could build up from there.
Right.
But yeah, either more of that or a little bit more depth in other areas could have been nice. But you get the camaraderie with these guys. You can tell like they've grown up together. They're vying for Rabbit's skills in certain ways. I thought that so Future, is that before or after?
I know
the
that
future that we know so well these days.
I mean, it's definitely before his fame, for sure.
Yeah,
before
I don't know if it's, but yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about that either.
Right.
The future, the rap name is. Yeah. I also wrote Captain America is not good at rapping. Which is
I
forget his name. Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie.
That's maybe that's what I'm feeling, because
he's a presence.
It doesn't quite work, but then finding out at the end that he is a prep school guy or something, that kind of helped its case a little bit more, where it's like he seems a little odd man out, because he just wasn't ever like saying much and always just kind of standing in the background. I'm like, I want to find out more about this character, but they're not really giving much, so I guess he's just has something
that was
hidden.
definitely a huge problem with the movie, is that there's no like really defined antagonist. I guess you could say it's like the other, like the opposing rap crew or whatever.
Society. Free world.
Like if you should at least like focus on one of the characters in that crew. And you could have done it with Anthony Mackie. I feel like the payoff of like him talking about how he's a prep school kid would have been better. I still love that moment, you know, just as like as an audience member who's like rooting for the main character. You know, we all fucking loved him like getting shit kicked or whatever. But it definitely would have been more satisfying if we followed Anthony Mackie a little more in the movie.
Absolutely. And I was also thinking about the way this movie could have been set up that was more interesting, because I think I'm getting a sense that, you know, I'm not alone in that. There's a lot of just things in like what this movie's trying to do, and it doesn't get deep with it or doesn't fully accomplish like what needs to actually happen in order for this to be an interesting story. And one of those things is the idea of like the big boss, where he is battling his way up to the, you know, the ultimate. And I did enjoy that there was a game almost in this movie with the rap battling, where B-Rabbit has to work his way to the top through his rap skills. I did like that idea, but the way this movie does it is so minimal and so quick.
I had kind of mixed feelings about it, because it's like he choked on the first rap battle. That's how the movie started. But for him, that to be the fruition of the movie, for him to do well and win a rap battle, was something that he was putting off and denying for a long time, and seemed that he wanted something different. And I guess that rap battle is kind of like the first step in going down the direction that he wants to go in. But that him not choking, I guess, is another antagonist, you know, like living at home. There's just a lot of different like factors that are all kind of holding against him. And then like even the things that should be good in his life end up kind of souring. So it really is just him at the end, which is a weird feeling kind of at the end of, you know, it's got nothing.
That's the other thing, is like, you set up this movie and like it's set up really well. I actually love the first scene. I love that he fucking, it's a classic story. Like, you know, here's our protagonist. Here's the issue that he's having. You know, he's not confident enough in himself.
So down and out.
He's super, he doesn't believe in himself. And like, that's what to me, the first scene is saying, this is what he needs to overcome in order to like gain whatever he wants to gain. But the
Like,
thing that
personal self-confidence. Yeah.
the thing that they
like,
lost is like I don't remember any parts of the movie where he's like working on that.
no, not at all.
Shit just
No.
kind of like happens
Yeah.
and then he is not choking anymore. There wasn't
Mhm.
really any like thing that he had to get over in order to not choke. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh no, totally. Which is like what we want, but in order to get a good performance out of Eminem, we just kind of need better actors to happen upon him so that he can react in this very linear way of like where this shit sucks, you're going to rise above it. And you never get a lot of growth or interior into how he's feeling about stuff that I feel like would be so beneficial to the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of him trying to survive, and then it comes down to: am I going to go with Future and try to do more of these rap battles? Am I going to go with this other guy? And then he starts getting outside pressure from having to contribute if he's going to live with his mom, and then he starts to go with more the other direction. But even that was like out of necessity to save face for his mom. Was like, oh, I'm trying to record an album with this guy. That wasn't anything that he really wanted to do in his own heart and soul, it seemed like. And then if there was any big turnaround, it was when they were talking with his friends, and he essentially calls them all out, like, you guys keep fucking talking and talking, and we don't do fucking shit about ass. But
Yeah.
in between all that, there's this whole other subplot about this house, where some bad shit has happened, and then they go to burn the house down. Like, that's a whole other side quest of the fucking movie that is interesting. Creates a nice visual. I really like the visual of the burning house and then dancing on the outside, and just like the commentary on Detroit at this time.
If I knew what that was a metaphor for, I would have loved that scene. But
Totally.
it's like there's just like a bunch of like metaphor-y shit that happens, but like the movie doesn't present a meaning for any of it.
There isn't enough depth. I completely agree. There isn't enough depth. I get that they're trying to maybe, like there's a little bit of like the broken windows thing of like, things that shit wouldn't happen if that house wasn't there. We didn't wake up every day and see our city look like fucking shit, then maybe this bad shit wouldn't continue to happen, because people live like they treat their city how it looks. Sure. So let's burn it down. And like that, I like that idea of that was their addition by subtraction for the city of trying to make a difference in their world and how they saw it.
In the deep. How the fuck do we supposed to keep peace? Do you guys remember that?
No.
And
you don't remember It's So Cold in the D? You gotta look up that YouTube afterwards.
Okay.
It's an old music video. It's funny as fuck.
Gotcha.
It is funny as fuck. That makes me think too about how Detroit plays a factor into this, because this movie is repping Detroit in a way.
Oh yeah, it's a huge part of the movie.
I'm trying to understand, and the movie does okay. I just wish it did better. Of like, what are the influences happening in Detroit that make B Rabbit sound the way that he does?
That would have been interesting to go down.
I wanted some of that, where I was like, I love that they're talking about the dynamics of West Coast, East Coast in the car conversations. Yeah. But like, what is the connective tissue that makes Detroit sound in particular like unique?
Yeah.
Because I love the idea of
them go to like a house show or something.
Right. Like some sort of representation of like, this is what's also happening in Detroit. We get none of that. Like, we really only get the rap battle place. And then there is a house party, but they're just playing Tupac, I think.
Oh yeah, that was
like
the other
Detroit
thing.
House music or something. Have like some Detroit house music playing.
Something that made like, that's like, this is where like Eminem's influences, like this is what Detroit's about, you know?
Yeah, seriously, like the only fucking music it's like shit that was
Biggie
like
Smalls and Tupac.
Yeah, it's like very, very, very popular
East Coast mainly.
That would have been stuff that's very expensive to license.
Oh, and the soundtrack.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Eminem put it together all himself, and I mean there's some good songs. I mean, The Far Side and
there's definitely good songs.
There's good songs, I would have. Sure.
I
more
like
representative of
they're so obvious. You know what I mean? They're just like all fucking.
Yeah, this is like, what was popular on the radio when this movie, the time period this movie is. Yeah. But where is the going to the club, right? Where Eminem isn't just rap battling, he's also emceeing maybe, or like doing something else in Detroit. Like our POV to all of this movie is so 5 places. And
he's making cars.
So small.
He helps make cars. How much Detroit can you get? Michael Shannon has a Ford t-shirt.
I know.
He does. He does. That's so funny. Yeah. Going back to
maybe
like
some Kiss.
Sort of the start of the
is that where Kiss
start
is from
of the movie is that I really wish
Detroit
Rock City.
I really wish that they would have explained why. It's like I get his mom's an alcoholic and she's like, he's not very good at life or whatever, but like I wish they would have explained the backstory of their relationship more, because what it comes off as without that explanation is that Jimmy Rabbit is just a fucking brat. You know what I mean? Like in my perspective, like it's just this guy. I picked that up
this time. Yeah, I picked this up this time. But what I would say is, like, as a kid seeing this when it came out, you don't pick up on that.
Yeah,
you're like, your mother is just being a piece of shit and you're frustrated at your plight in life. But totally this time around, I was like, he's actually kind of a fucking stinker. Like,
dude, he's a total fucking brat. He goes in there. His mom is nice enough to give him the car. And he's like,
car. Yeah.
Give him a fucking car. Like, it's a car. I know that it doesn't
I know it's
start
a piece
the
of
first
shit.
time.
Yeah, I know it's a piece of shit.
I know it's a beater, but she gives him a fucking car and then says, oh, yeah, you can stay here as long as you want.
Uh-huh.
And then one of his first reactions is he opens the fridge and he's like, no milk.
Yeah, that was a little,
and I was just like,
bit much.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, can you fucking calm down? Which is like, it would make sense if you had like a backstory of like how she was never around when he was growing up or something like that. Like,
I guess you assume that.
So concerned for his little sister.
Yeah. I get where you're going with that. Yeah.
Also that too. Is that his little sister or is his daughter?
Daughter.
His daughter. With his girlfriend? Is that? Oh, I thought it was.
I think so.
I thought it was little sister.
One that's at the trailer.
I thought it was little sister.
I think it's
that is one of the most confusing fucking plot lines.
I guess we are confused here. If it was daughter, man, I thought he would be a lot more hands-on.
He's very loving.
Very loving, but he comes across as like older brother to me, but I don't know.
I was so fucking confused because I was like, if that is your daughter, why have you been away for so long?
Exactly.
Because obviously you care about kids because you let your chick have the apartment or whatever because she's pregnant.
And the car.
Or let her have the car.
Which we find out that is not true, right?
I don't. That whole thing is so fucking confusing because she comes to his work and she's like, me. And he's like,
before that, he saw her in the club and she was drinking. And then there's, I feel like there's this whole moment where he's like, she's full of shit.
What the fuck is the point of all of that?
In my mind, it was a situation of let me put on my Tom like his voice. She's this crazy bitch. And like, that's the whole thing, is that she wants him to be around. So she comes up with
playing it like she's trying to trap him, like trap him in Detroit and say she's pregnant and that's why I really don't think that's his daughter, because that, I don't know, that would just play differently, especially at the end too, where he's like, I'm on my own, I'm making my own way, and then he just walks off into the night and like no mention of that he's got a child.
That's what I'm saying, is that the end of the movie, first of all, we never get to fucking know what happens, like
to be Rabbit.
Like,
yeah, totally.
It's like the shit with his mom's not resolved. The shit with fucking the little kid is not resolved.
The arc is that he had to win this competition. And that's where this movie really boils down to like a sports movie.
Yeah,
or like a talent show that you got to win.
But with a sports movie, they get increasingly better throughout the movie. With this, it's not the case. He doesn't get better.
He at least does a couple battles that aren't.
But to James's point, he does a couple battles.
Yeah.
We have the parking lot. We have the food truck.
I just want to know why.
And then we have him rapping occasionally to Cheddar Bob. And
I just want to know why he gets over his fear.
Totally. That is an incredible
that's kind of manufactured out of nowhere, because that's the only time I can think is where he has that, he gets mad at them of like, we're not really doing shit, and then and Cheddar Bob getting shot, I think, just gets him pretty frustrated. He's like, man, this is annoying. But there really isn't a huge instance besides just wanting to get out. I mean, the Brittany Murphy thing, like that, all that shit goes awry as well. But then it just boils down to him either sitting on the bus with his notes or just like holding in, and just like visually and non-verbally, the movie is telling you like, okay, now he's really focusing on getting better. But like you're saying, there's it's not a lot of actual proof in the pudding. And to my original point, like, you only get at the very end him like, I don't know, actually being Eminem rapping. I feel like a lot of his other rap battle stuff is like not rhythmic like you were saying, and it is very truncated, and like and it starts and stops a lot, and it's really just like what is that Nick Cannon show or whatever where they just diss each other. It's just more they're just dissing each other, roasting each other rather than
I just wish that, like, because like from what I understand, the entire narrative of the movie essentially is like it's about him like kind of growing up, I guess. And like you see these things and it's like, here's the reason why I'm not growing up. Like, Detroit sucks. My mom sucks. You know,
it's a shitty situation.
Blah, blah, blah.
My plight in life is tough.
Yeah. All this stuff sucks. But the ending is so fucking confusing, because it's like Brittany Murphy's character is supposed to be, I mean, in my opinion, is supposed to be like a wake up call. Like, you're running out of time. You gotta
totally.
you gotta get out of here so you can do something.
Right.
And you're sort of like resting on your laurels almost.
And depending on other people a lot, I guess, but like you do need help from people.
But he ends up doing the rap battle and going back to work. So it's like
help from Future. He like ends up being like, you know what, Future, I do need help. But
he pursues his dream, but he also is responsible at the end.
Right. God. Wow.
Which is so funny. Like, if they actually did that and it was like, you can do both. So you can have a full-time job and pursue your dream. You don't need to be a fucking loser. Like, you can do that.
It just like sits him down. It's like, hey, you just got to stop hanging out with your jerk off friends, getting fucked up all the time, and maybe focus a bit more, and then you can accomplish your goals.
Yeah.
Your friend's name's Cheddar Bob.
Let's talk about Cheddar Bob.
Let's talk about Cheddar.
And then
what the fuck is the point of Cheddar Bob? Why is he mentally challenged?
Why is he mentally challenged? I don't
It's very tone deaf, because it's like they don't go all the way with it. They don't go to borrow a Downey Jr.ism, and you know.
But they also, speaking of never going all the way, there is a scene in which B Rabbit goes into Cheddar Bob's house after he cowardly like looks through the window and he's like, oh, he's fucking in there, and then he goes into Cheddar Bob's place and then is about to have a really great moment, but then it just cuts, and the movie couldn't give a shit less about that, and it bugged me the hell out, because I was like, this could have been a moment where you had B Rabbit tell Cheddar Bob a simpleton. How like just unload all, like how movies stereotypically do, where there's the protagonist just unloads all of their emotional trauma or what they're thinking about onto a simpleton, and then the simpleton's gonna button the scene with a joke of like, I don't get what you're talking about.
I'm retarded.
I'm retarded.
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they can't just go like the normal route of the movie. What the movie would like autocorrect if the AI wrote it would be, he's not gonna fucking shoot himself. The gang is gonna fucking shoot him. Just the gang shoot him. Or fucking maim him or something, like not permanently, whatever, but have them injure him so they have a reason to fucking really go after these guys.
And so he didn't shoot his dick off, right?
No,
Right. He just shot his leg. Yeah.
But it's, and maybe if he does, if they do shoot him, maybe it gets
lucky.
bigger than that. But like, him shooting himself is like almost played for laughs. Adds nothing. So. They don't feel anything, but just like, well, fuck, our friend shot himself. That sucks. There's no that provides no antagonistic source like for them to like rally around. They're just like, well, shit.
And it was completely his
we have
fault
an idiot. So yeah, we have an idiot like, on our team. Yeah,
yeah. It's
like brick.
That just happens. Like it just happens for no fucking reason. Like he just shoots himself, and then they're like kind of joking about it, but they're like, oh man, our friend's in the hospital, and then. Yeah, and then nothing really comes of it.
The movie fucking slows down and they leave him at the hospital. And this is really at the point when like Eminem should be doing something about his life. And he does, but there's just no point to it. And this is just catering to your point where it's like, there's nothing to really like push him besides Cheddar shooting himself. It's like, that's the like sequentially what happens before, but it's not a reason enough for him to actually maybe like have a montage of him. Like it almost gets there with it starts with the Lose Yourself song, and I really like how that's mixed into the moment. What do
you guys think of
hearing that a little bit?
Them doing like the remix of that song where it's like he's writing it. You know what I'm talking about?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah. I kind of liked it too. It was pretty creative. Like,
yeah, it was cool to hear a different like
that being like a through line, and it's like building like on itself. You know,
the song like sort of working itself out.
I was convinced that it was gonna like come up at the end in the rap.
Oh yeah, like
somehow.
he would. Dude, that's what my girlfriend said too. She's like, convinced. So he doesn't fucking do the song at the end.
Yeah,
it's
everything was leading up to that.
It's the end credit thing. I was convinced because he's working on it. I'm like, oh, okay, girlfriend. We're gonna get there. Like he's working on it in the scene. It's like, okay, so he's gonna and so when the DJ was like playing records, I'm like, how are they gonna mix in that? He's like, I got a certain track that I want you to play, and he's gonna slide it to him or something. Didn't do it for the first battle, and then he had to work his way up. And he's like, oh, he's going against Anthony Mackie. This is for sure gonna be it.
Barry.
Yeah. You know that new sound you've been looking for?
You know that new sound you're looking for?
You got to lose yourself in the moment right now.
Obi Trice. Huge.
Hey, it's Dr. It's Mr. Dre, his brother.
Doctor?
It's easy.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but your white counterparts are gonna love it.
Love it. Oh my God, for sure.
I don't know. There's just this movie just kind of goes through the motions a little bit. I'm realizing. Really, I was kind of surprised at how vitrolic it kind of got with him and Brittany Murphy and the other guy, and him kicking his ass and then getting his ass kicked in return. I didn't expect it to get so ugly with Brittany Murphy. I thought they would have a little bit more of a happy.
I know she gets, right.
That was a really interesting, like, sort of period piece kind of thing, because like I'm sure that if I saw that movie when it came out, I'm sure I would be so stoked that he beat that guy up. Because like, you know, I'm like 12 years old and I'm like,
yes, there you go,
not mature.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh wow, he's a fucking psychopath. Like this is not his girlfriend. Why does this guy just deserve to get beat up? Like he's obviously just has an anger
talked to her
problem.
twice.
That was a bad fucking look for our main character. That was a bad fucking look.
They fucked in a dirty automotive warehouse. Like
I don't know.
That scene. That scene
was so long.
It was really long. It like shows to completion.
And then Eminem,
a lot of just pumping, and just like
it doesn't like cut. Like there's a lot. I mean, speaking of Revolutionary Road, I mean that movie, it's like one pump and done.
Yeah, it is. But he's pumping. He's
Dude,
like,
also, where the fuck does he not? Has he never kissed someone before? He kisses so weird.
very
Like
weird.
he's like like his whole mouth is just very like it's very like 14-year-old summer camp makeout sesh. Like
Yeah, and all the clothes are like still on, like he's just barely. Everything's just like pushed. Like
that was
pants
unrealistic.
are pushed down and shirts are pushed up, but nothing's ever taken off, and it's in the cold, fucking dingy car warehouse where they have overnight shifts. Is that?
But it's so.
Is that a thing? But they have overnight shifts at the factory.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he was gonna work one. Remember after the show?
Oh, I know in the movie, but I was just asking, like, yeah, I guess in real life they do overnight factory shifts. Probably,
I'm sure.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they got to make bumpers. So to the
Up, down.
You just got to do your job and shut the fuck up.
The fuck up. I was thinking about it. And I was like,
pay this bandit.
Could they just have like a light or something? The fact that they have to say up and down every single time is that I feel like there's a better way to do that. There's like, just like a light. You go, okay, light, down.
Yeah.
Like you have to say up.
It's almost like you could get a robot to do what they're doing.
Jesus. Jeez. Oh, yeah, dude, totally.
Did you notice who the boss was, Brandon?
No, who's the boss?
It's the owner of the club in Walk Hard. I expect these people to dance erotically.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, Paul Bates.
Yeah, he's the owner of the club. He's like wants everyone to be dancing very erotically, and he has such boss energy.
He doesn't.
He's big boss energy.
It's like why is he always giving me shit? Mm-hmm. And then that spawns the you need to shut the fuck up.
You know what Walk Hard kind of borrows that from a little bit, that scene where they're like they're doing that was it Don't Be a Menace, where he's like, look at them two getting freaky on the dance floor, and they're like actually fucking like on the dance floor.
And they're dancing erotically in the movie too.
It's so funny.
I
love that this was sort of like a small part, but I don't know why me and my chick kind of like pointed this out to each other, was that Brittany Murphy like is dancing with the like the only other white guy at the thing. I was like, so she just doesn't like black dudes. Is out. That's cool. But then she fucks that guy. So I guess that theory was disproven.
Right. But I mean, what you're saying is it's like we needed her to fuck more black guys before that happened. Is that?
Oh no, I just thought it was funny that like the only other guy that she's like kind of hitting it off with is also white.
I know, yeah,
for sure. Very predominantly black club. I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
Speaking of white guys too, is that the writer of this movie is a white guy.
Dude, it's produced by Brian Grazer.
Yeah, which isn't
that nuts?
Rough.
And the director of LA Confidential.
Yes,
dude,
which is why
the director of Adaptation. Which is like a cool ass art film.
No, that's Charlie Kaufman. What?
That's Charlie Kaufman.
Wait, who does? No, because I swear to God,
it's not Adaptation.
On the fucking on the Amazon fucking Blue to Blue or whatever the fuck. After the movie was over, it showed like the different people that were involved in making the movie, and one of them had something to do with Adaptation. I don't know if it was the director.
No, it is the director. He is a character in the movie.
Oh wow.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Charlie Kaufman would.
Yeah,
that's so funny. That's so funny that I thought that the same guy who did Adaptation.
Could you
literally
imagine?
Like one of the handful of movies, and I'm not saying I'm like a tough guy or whatever, but one of the handful of movies to make me cry. Adaptation.
Oh my God. Wow, man.
When his twin
we've
dies.
done that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we did. I'm thinking of Ending Things, which is another Charlie Kaufman movie, but that guy is a fucking trip. He wrote a book I've thought about.
That movie pissed me the fuck off.
I'm thinking of Ending Things.
Ending Things.
Yes.
Well, then makes sense why it's polarizing, because I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it too.
But
I hated the ending so much.
It's
I thought
so
it was
fucking
like way unnecessarily confusing.
Very confusing. Yeah.
Because I remember I read like what I went online and I read like what happens or whatever. And I was like, that's
Cool.
amazing. If I would have known that at the end of the movie, I would have fucking loved that movie.
It just told me a little bit clearer. I remember liking it a lot more after I read about it as well. That's
what I'm saying.
Like that,
I thought the movie was great, but then the ending is like unnecessarily fucking confusing.
Like, what's the deal with this pig?
Yeah, turns into a cartoon.
Well, looking through the last of my notes, we got a rip it, baby, rip it. We got a get the fuck out of my house, get the fuck out of my house. She just kept.
I like how she wins like $3,000 and she's like,
that's the end of her story.
You want pancakes? It's like that was the meal after you win $3,000.
That was her arc, yeah, and that's
you didn't bring home pancakes. You're gonna make. That's very fiscally responsible, like for someone who's not.
She's 3,000. Yeah, she's in debt.
I like the part
$3,000, and I don't know. That could probably pay for rent at that trailer park for like 6 months.
Trailer parks, man, are fucking nuts. There's this really great like Radio Lab episode about how trailer parks are literally the worst investment possible because you don't. The thing with houses is that you own the land, like you appreciate. You own the plot of that land, like legally own the plot. But with the trailer parks, somebody else owns the plot, and you're just putting a thing on there, and it just is literally the worst investment to just take advantage of. Yeah,
yourself a double wide
and shittier. Yeah. What were you gonna say, James?
Oh, I was just. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to say this quote that I liked a lot when they were talking about the guy there's one character in their friend group that seems to be a little bit more socially responsible and ethically aware of, and politically aware of the world. But he's talking about how getting a record deal is like a good idea because you get a lot of benefits. And then his other bigger guy friend says, hey man, we talking Bentleys and Benjamins, not Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
And Blue Shields. Yeah.
That was a very that was someone wrote that and was pretty proud of that.
Yeah. That person is Scott Silver.
Some super hip white dude. Old white man.
Scott Silver. Do you know what else Scott Silver, the writer of this movie, has also written?
What has he written?
He has written the new Joker and the previous Joker movie.
Oh God.
Folly a did?
Folly a did?
Folly a did?
Folly a do has a Scott Silver screenwriter credit on it.
Gaga, Phoenix. Folly a did. Okay, wait, hold on.
What a time to be alive.
Before I forget, speaking of the guy, the socially conscious dude in the friend group who was gay, or were they just making fun of him?
No. There's just a lot of homophobia.
They did make fun of the one gay guy at the factory. They were making fun of him.
I did.
That guy seemed cool.
He was cool. Exhibit was making fun of him. Yeah, how he was smoking cigarettes was cool. There's something about it.
Eminem did, in his defense, he did
defend him. Yeah, which was great. True.
And his outfit
I like
he
that.
Also used the F word.
Yeah,
many times
while doing it.
Yeah, well,
which is fucking hilarious. But going back to that guy, he is. Do you remember when that's what woke meant? Was a dude that was like somewhat socially conscious.
Mm-hmm.
That's
for sure.
Woke, that's what woke used to mean.
Yeah,
it is.
I can't use that term now.
He was the guy that's like. Right, like we shouldn't be into religion. We should start like not hurting the earth. Like
kind of slut shames a woman, but it's okay.
Well, jeez.
It was like so like woke used to mean like that you sort of adhered to like some conspiracy theories and like you sort of knew about government, like local government or some shit. But now it's just like, you know, you're Joe Biden. That's who's woke now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
if you're centrist, you're fucking woke now.
Yeah, you're absolutely If you want to like
have people taken care
everyone
of,
get along,
fucking woke.
Exactly. Like if you would rather a hospital like take in a guy who's dying before he paid, then you're woke.
That
Like,
oh yeah, so funny.
And broke as well. He uses the it's some like it's here. We got the pencil suspenseful rhyme was in like the last rap battle, which he uses in Without Me. Been so suspenseful with the pencil since like Prince turned himself into a symbol.
Nice.
Oh, that's a great line.
I wish that was in this movie.
Well, he does the pencil suspenseful thing, which I was like, oh, he's repeating
cool.
that. Oh, that's cool. It's not as cool now.
It's like the guy from Neutral Milk Hotel talking about "Come on the Mountains" or whatever.
Totally.
You know how he brings that up like 3 times in that album, like Steven Saints the Mountaintops. I was like, he loves that fucking visual.
Yeah. It must be kind of fun, like to do things in such like a heightened, heavy way, but then you're just singing about stupid shit that must like come that like, and then everyone's like worshiping it. That you're in the background, you're just kind of like, you fucking idiots. You're worshiping my Come Mountain song.
No one was the walrus. I made it up.
I mean, that's kind of, I guess, Eminem's whole shtick a little bit too. But I like how he makes fun of
leader of the Beatles.
Hey, dude, you should have been with us for the Walk Road episode, man. Why are you so dark and when I'm so impish and whimsical?
Let's drop acid with the Beatles.
Get addicted to acid.
You're lucky we still let you play drums. Oh, my guitar gently whimpers. Anthony Mackie's
I think I'm doing pretty well for a 15-year-old with a wife and a baby.
Can't make a house of candy, it will melt in the sun.
You know what I think the hardest I laughed during that movie is the scene where all the dicks are just appearing in the hotel room while he's talking on the phone.
Yes. It's not all. It's just Bert.
I was in the theater. I remember I was crying fucking laughing so hard.
Good.
James posted.
We gave that 100%, by the way. That's a
we all gave it 100%. James posted it in the Discord, but in Roger Ebert's review of Walk Hard, he makes this addendum at the end, and he's like, just so everybody knows, there's a penis in this movie. And then it's like a paragraph long where he like also kind of creates this banter of like, you know what, this scene could use a penis in the upper right corner. And it is so funny to just have this very sterile, like almost puritanical mind being like, guess what, everybody, penises are in this movie. And the best is he overall just being like,
you know who had hands? The devil.
Use
them for holding.
The guy hears the song and he throws up. He just can't. It's good. It's good.
I just want to take that approach that Roger Ebert took with other jokes and other obvious jokes in movies that are visual, and be like, why did Ron Burgundy have that boner? That was very strange. That was just an uncomfortable moment that I don't understand.
Somebody should call the pants store and let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What this scene needed was a news anchor who can't read the news. Wow, that's believable.
Put him in a body bag.
What's with movies these days? They don't make them like they used to. Anthony.
Fuck those people.
Anthony Mackie, his real name is Clarence. I thought that was just a funny burn of this guy's name is Clarence.
Fuck yeah, it was so funny. Of a burn, he just completely shut down.
Yeah, he pooped his pants and cried and ran away.
Wow.
I thought that the doing the thing where he brings up all of the disses that the other guy's probably gonna say.
I liked it.
Was Art of War, like Sun Tzu fucking shit. What
Jet Li type
that was so fucking
judo.
Smart.
Let me own all of my ineptitudes so that you can't
weaponize them.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So he is emotionally growing. Wow. Okay.
Sure, but I wanted the movie to at least chart that a little bit better than it did.
No, we're gonna get the sequel, and it's 10 years later, and he's still in the same position. But he's like, "Hey, you remember when I won that one rap battle 10 years ago? That was pretty cool."
I went and worked at.
Let's go to
He signed to a record label. But he still works 60 hours at the factory every week.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that record label,
Up,
just people fucking
down.
in the next room, people on the radio, man.
I did like that where you're just going
Who
through. It's
was
like,
the-
okay, let's see this
who was
room.
the guy
Okay,
getting
music. Okay,
interviewed?
fucking. Okay.
I don't know, but he had like devil hair. Did you see that? How it's like
He looked cool as fuck,
he
dude.
had these devil hairs that came out. It's awesome.
See more of that kind of Detroit music.
This was yeah.
Oh my god.
Loved it.
What
All right,
else do I
well,
have written that we haven't talked about?
Well,
I think
yeah. Any final
I had a
thoughts?
couple. Committing arson and then not leaving is wild, is what I wrote.
Yeah.
I thought about that scene and I was like, if the cops came up, I'd be like, I just got here 15 minutes ago. That was my.
That's a good point.
I came out to see this building burning.
Yeah. I live next door. The building was burning. Just got here 15 minutes ago. Not my deal.
Anyways, the roof is on fire. Yeah, 15 minutes. Well, anything else before you guys want to take a little break?
On this movie, I just let it wash over me.
I didn't take too many notes either because there's like not a lot that happens and it doesn't get too deep and you can kind of take it all in at face value.
Before we go on a break, then it's like I just want to make the point of like this being a like indie feeling movie for somebody who was a major hip hop pop star was the right move. Because especially getting hip hop into major motion pictures was still not something that was done almost ever. And to add some validity to it and to like.
Someone's never seen Breaking.
What? Put him in a body bag.
Hey, we did poetic justice on this podcast.
Has he ever seen Breaking? Is he a bit?
This is a bit of a bit. If anyone knows Tom Likas, you're gonna have to know Tom Likas, and you're gonna have to know Comedy Bang Bang, and you will be good to go.
Yeah, my bad.
As well as I think you should leave. I think is might have been another one. We should have like an asterisk with all the requirements, like prerequisite reading for our podcast. Could be good.
Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all my notes. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna take a bathroom break, and we shall return. We are back, everyone. Welcome back. Let's get into some critic reviews. They gave it a 75% certified fresh movie. Joe Morgenstern from Wall Street Journal said, "It's easy to like Jimmy Smith as well as to admire him because Mr. Mathers lets us in with no sign of calculation on the kindness, even tenderness that Jimmy conceals from most of the people around him."
Uh-oh, Alex, what do you have to say about that?
I didn't get that at all. The fuck?
Okay.
He was very emotionally available to his friends. I don't feel like he was ever like trying to be a tough guy or anything. That wasn't like a theme in the movie I ever saw.
Okay. I agree.
From Nathan Rabin, AV Club, since his ascension to pop culture royalty, Eminem has transformed the messy emotions of his life into musical black comedy. In 8 Mile, that life becomes an equally riveting drama.
Why use that term, black comedy?
Why use black comedy threw me for a loop.
Richard Schickel, Time Magazine, because it rejects easy victories, this may be one of the few inspirational movies that could actually inspire someone somewhere, sometime.
Uh-oh.
Do what? To keep their day job, but also
to press bumpers.
Their dream?
Press the up, down. Jonathan Rosenbaum, Chicago Reader. The movie has some of the braggadocio of its white trash hero, building to its competitive climax as if it were a gladiatorial sporting event, and it carried me all the way.
Wow. Hello.
Nice.
The audience did not care as much for this movie. They gave it a 54%. Let's hear some negative reviews. Stinky, pew, pew. Stinky. That's what we classify on the Polarized Pod as. Ooh, stinky, diaper, pew, pew land.
Ooh, dirty diaper.
They really got to do like a diaper symbol on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten diapers.
rotten diapers.
Yeah. From John Williams, 1 star.
Yes. John Williams.
The John Williams. My favorite gave it a 1 star.
John Williams, composer.
And commenter.
Reviewing on Google. This is on the Google. On the Google.
On the Googles.
My favorite documentary about Stuart Little. My boy Billy Ray killed it playing Dre. Snoop Dogg can make a very convincing Beethoven, the dog specifically. Overall, I love you, Mom. Shout out to the twins, Tia and Tamara. Hey, when's Twitches 3 supposed to come out, by the way? It's kind of messed up how you guys just left us in the dust like that. But hey, c'est la vie, I guess.
I'm really confused.
Me too.
C'est la vie.
It started out pretty funny.
Yeah, no, c'est la vie, man.
From Super Seacrow, 1 star. This is all about rapping. There's nothing about distance running. What a waste of time. I'm marathon training.
He thought he was cooking. He thought he
let him cook. Let him cook, dude.
From not
he's like, oh, this is a
crying, laughing while he typed that.
Yeah, I see there. I see this LOL. I guess that was just like involuntary. Couldn't help. Oh, from Namgay Dorji, 1 star. This movie is awesome. What more can I say?
Why did he give it 1 star then?
I'm speechless. Stand for life. 1 star.
What's that guy's name?
10 people found this review helpful.
That's so
Namgay Dorji.
It's a silly name.
From Sanjoy Bose, 1 star. Disgusting. Look what they have done to the beautiful English language.
Oh God.
I'll
There's
do
no way that's a real person.
1 more here from Roberto J, 1 star. This film loosely illustrates the rise of Eminem within his local community. I found this movie to be very hard to watch and did not have much substance to it. There were too many scenes of Eminem and his daughter in extreme poverty. The film continued to force feed me with these scenes, disregarding how hard they are to watch and the rumination of them in the mind of the audience.
Rumination.
Did they even think about how hard this would be to watch for me?
They should have thought that. One of them says 1 star. This movie is just The Last Samurai, but instead of samurai, it's epic rap battles.
That's so
1 star.
Stupid.
1 star.
Find that person and beat the shit out of them.
That's the next portion of our show. Now we got to find these people. Alex, what would you rate this bad boy? 0 out of 100. Any final thoughts as well you'd like to attach?
Let's see.
Or you can pass it along to Brandini or me as well, if you'd like to go second or third.
Yeah. Hey.
The great Brandini.
The great Brandini. Yes.
Yes.
He's going to be following David Blaine very soon.
Yeah. I would say 55.
55?
55?
Yeah.
And why? Why would you give it that? Yeah.
Very fair.
Because it wasn't like a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But it wasn't. It was like a little below.
Terrible.
It was like a little below like. I don't even know what the fuck I'm thinking about. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 55, 60, just because,
it's kind of poopy snoopy, kind of like rotten.
It's
a little rotten.
It's a little stinky.
A little stinky.
Might need to change the diaper on that. Yeah, I just feel like from a storytelling perspective, like
that's gonna be our new segment.
You gotta change the diaper on this movie.
You gotta change the diaper on that.
I have like a pet peeve about plot lines that don't go anywhere and that don't serve anything.
God,
it just makes me
what
so
a
mad.
tyrant!
Like,
what a tyrant!
Why the fuck did you make this? Why did you make me watch this? Like, you know what I mean? I definitely thought that there was some entertainment value. I didn't like hate watching it.
Right.
There's definitely, yeah. But I think that's the end of my very well thought out review.
Nice. Nailed it.
I'm in the same boat. I think that this movie was like just enjoyable enough to get through in like an hour, a little over an hour and a half. Unfortunately, it didn't get deeper where I wanted it to. But I guess that didn't hold it back from being like breezy for a drama. Like for a drama and everything, like it was like kind of breezy, and I didn't end up like caring too much about a lot of the characters. I liked, obviously our main character Eminem. I'm I'm concerned with what's going on with him. But this was just like a little snippet into his life, and being able to look at it like that, I appreciated just going through this brief moment in time. But also, it doesn't get very deep, and it doesn't warrant any sort of higher score because there's many more movies that are able to go much further in that direction. The things that I do love about it are obviously Eminem's performance, and I thought there were like a lot of great crowd scenes of the rap battles, like great crowd work and having that energy, and a lot of the shots within those moments is, I think, tough to have like lively crowd work in those kind of moments. And I appreciated that in some of those climactic scenes, that worked pretty well. And there was a certain look that somehow like the cinematography looked pretty good at sometimes, and it reminded me of a time and a place of movie making, which was very gritty and kind of like embrace that a little bit. And I think it was those sort of rap battle scenes and then the house burning, I thought were like some good moments. But yeah, it's going to be just fresh for me. I think I do like a little bit more than that, but just push it into like the fresh region of like 67. I'll do a 67. Sounds good to me. Still needs a little pew pew dipey, but you could let it go a little bit before you change it.
The shark.
Yeah, it's you might get some chafage.
Ooh. So with this movie, I think it is interesting the choice of him being as popular as he is to make a very grounded story biopic of a rap artist. I think it's not lost on me that in this period of time, it was very difficult to do. And overall, this isn't late. Like it's cringe in a lot of ways, but it's not super lame. And I think that is like kind of what it needs to at least get to, and it does. But the story is so wholly uninteresting, and there's so many introductions of characters that would fill out this life of Eminem as an artist that would just hold so much weight that even a non-rapper person could appreciate. And this movie doesn't do that. Person. Right? And this movie does not do that. But I'm so glad this movie isn't a incredibly blown out, like pop artist shit that it could have been, given where he was at. I'm glad that he chose to work with a director to become an actor to do this movie, which is very small. I think that is in the situation the right move, but it doesn't necessarily make the movie good. And I don't think this movie's that good. So where I'm going to leave it at is 55% is how I'm feeling.
Yeah, you guys are holding hands. Very nice. 55 buddies. 5 is a good number. This has been the 8 Mile episode, and it truly has been a blast. Let's play a little game before we mosey on out of here. Yes. It's What's That Ranking, 8 Mile edition. I am going to give you a category of ranking that 8 Mile is on the list of. It is up to you to figure out where 8 Mile ranks on the list of movies within this category. It'll make more sense as we go along. Let's get to the first one. Alex, for as far as best movie fights that don't involve violence or dancing, where would 8 Mile rank out of 14 movies in that category? For
fights that don't
best movie fights that don't involve violence or dancing, where does 8 Mile rank out of 14 movies?
So like that would leave like yelling and rap battling.
Yeah, rap battling would be the thing. Yeah, not as not violent, and there's a little bit of head bobbing, I guess, but not dancing.
Someone like two people having a heated argument, that would be part of it.
Yeah, I wonder what number one. I can find out what number one is after we learn. Oh, I guess I just gave away that it's not number one. So there you go.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be number one. I'll say, I don't know, 10.
Number 10. Okay.
I'm going to go number 4.
Brandon, you picked number 4, and it is number 4. You freaking did it, my friend. You freaking did it. You got it on the money.
Wow.
For the sake of the game lasting a bit longer, I'm going to give you 1 point, but well done.
Cool.
Because I think we're just going to do 2 out of 3 today. Let's go on to number 2. Brandon, where does 8 Mile rank as far as the best 11 movies about talent shows?
About talent shows?
11 movies were put on the ranking of
10
best movies about talent shows. 10.
Talent shows. That's such a funny way to put it.
Isn't that so funny?
That's funny.
It's like pitch perfect, this movie. All right, so we got a 10 from Brandon. Best 11 movies about talent shows. To you, Alex.
I mean, it seems like the original reviews of this movie were pretty positive, and I'm assuming that Rotten Tomatoes sort of that's part of the aggregate or whatever. So I'm gonna say like 5.
5. We're on a roll today, folks, because it is number 5.
Yeah.
So both of you guys are getting the exact numbers on both of these. So it's blowing my mind because even if I did give you 2 points, Brandon, Alex would be right there behind you. So let's do the tiebreaker right here to figure out who wins my very special game of what's that ranking. To you, Alex, where does 8 Mile rank on the 15 movies that use swear words for filthy brilliance?
Oh, God, I don't like the way that's put.
50 movies that use swear words for filthy brilliance.
Brilliance.
Filthy brilliance.
Filthy brilliance.
How many movies is it?
15 brilliantly filthy movies. Because of swear words.
Let's say 7.
7. For all the kit and caboodle, what is your answer, Brandon? 10. It is going to Alex. It was number 8 on 15 movies that use swear words for filthy brilliance. The other categories were Brittany Murphy movies ranked. This was 4 out of 42. And best hip hop movies of 2000s, which was number 1 of 21 different 2000s movies. So those are a couple other categories. What's that?
What were some other ones in there?
For 8 Mile?
For the best hip hop movies of the 2000s.
Best hip hop movies of the 2000s. Let me bring that up here.
What was 3, 4, and 5?
Let's pull that up and I will find out. There were 21 movies. Number 1 being 8 Mile. Number 2 being Get Rich or Die Trying. Number 3, Notorious. Number 4, The Whackness. Number 5, Hustle and Flow.
The
Whackness and Notorious are both way fucking better than this movie.
Number 6, Brooklyn Babylon. Number 7, Malibu's Most Wanted.
Jesus.
Maliboozy.
Number 8, ATL. Number 9, The Hip Hop Witch, starring Eminem. Number 10, Brown Sugar. And number 11, Feel the Noise.
Wow. Dude, The Whackness fucking rules.
Rules.
I've not seen that.
I love that movie too.
That's a good
Ben
one.
Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, Josh Peck, Famke Jensen.
I really enjoyed Notorious too. I'm surprised that didn't win.
Right.
This ranking site is interesting. It's, I think, peer voted in a variety of ways. So it's like kind of just almost random, and it makes it fun for games because it's like not always the obvious pick, I feel like. But we've been having fun with it here. I had a blast today, Alex. Thank you again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed yourself and consider coming back because we would love to have you again anytime you wish.
Definitely.
And I hope it was worth it to at least check out this movie for the first time. Is there you get everything you wanted to say? Is there anything else you wanted to plug or anything before we take off? Yeah, because we all the people out there, all the people.
My new book,
Beautiful people.
about 8 Mile
Yes.
and surrounding areas. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, Jimmy Wabbit. Good shit.
Good shit.
Shit.
Good shit all around.
And you're not even lying about that.
Oh, to be honest, it was good shit.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Right.
It's been a true pleasure. If you'd like to watch us live, twitch.tv/polarizedpod. Send us a line if you'd like. And on the old Gmail, polarizedpod@gmail.com. It's been a true pleasure here, and we'll see you next time. All right, we love you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Brad, Dee Dee, and James. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Alex.
Bye.